Hey, 7th graders, this is Miss Gaines. I'm back. I was Miss Job's student teacher, if you remember me, your favorite student teacher. This video is for my pre-AP kids, Miss Patterson's on level, and Miss Charles on level class. All right, so this video is over Similiar Figures. You're at stations. So at your station, you should have a sheet that says same shape but different dimensions. Okay, so on the sheet, we're going to do row A. All right, the first one on row A, and we have two rectangles. And if you notice, they are the same shape, but they have different numbers on the sides, which means they are different dimensions. And by dimensions, I mean length and width. You learned that last year. Remember, length is the long side and width is the shorter side. All right, you should have 3 rows underneath your paper, and this is where you're going to write the information. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is set up a proportion. Okay, so we're going to set up our proportion from the small figure to the big figure. There's our small figure, and here's our large figure. Okay, so underneath your figures, we're going to write our information. Okay, so it says our small figure is 7 in length and 4 in width. So let's write that as a ratio. 7/4. All right, and then remember, a proportion are 2 ratios that are equal to each other, so there needs to be that equal sign. So we're going to do another ratio for our large figure, which is m for our length and 8 as our width. Okay, so we put m/8. Remember, you have to keep your labels the same. So we have length on the top and width on the bottom. Okay, well, this one we could do scale factor if we wanted to. So Ms. Charles, what do you think? Should we do scale factor or proportion? Scale factor or cross multiply and divide? All right, let's do scale factor, your favorite. So how do we go from 4 to 8? Well, you multiply by 2. If we do it on the bottom, then that means we have to do it on the top. So 7 times 2 is 14. So m equals 14, and that's our answer. Okay? This one was fairly easy since it worked out nicely with our scale factor. Let's look at the next one. Okay, now we're on the one with the triangles. Okay, so we have 2 triangles. And again, they are the same shapes, but they have different dimensions, different lengths and different widths. So let's go ahead and figure out which one is the big one and which one is the small one. So we have our large triangle and our small triangle. So now we have to set up our ratios. So our length for our large triangle is 12. Okay, and triangles don't really have lengths and widths, so we'll just call top and the side. So our top is 12 and our side will be m. Okay, so our ratio will be 12 over m. So 12 is our top and m is our side. So now we have to set up a proportion. So we have to put that equal sign and do another ratio for our small triangle. Okay, so our top is 3 and our side is 4. So we have 3/4. So now we have to look and see, well, can we do scale factor with these? Can we go from 3 to 12? Well, we can. We multiply by 4. So if we do it on the top, that means we have to do it on the bottom. So 4 times 4 gives me 16. So m equals 16. Now luckily for us, the first 2 worked out nicely with scale factor, but they might not always. So remember, if you can't do scale factor, you have to cross multiply and then divide to find your answer. So let's look at our last problem. Okay. All right, now we're on our last problem. We went ahead and labeled our small rectangle and our large rectangle. You might not have to do that, but just in case, there it is. Okay, so now let's look at our lengths and our widths. So our length for our small rectangle is 3, and our width is 2. So on the side, we're going to set up our ratio. Okay, so we're going to have length over width. And if you want it, you could do width over length. And Miss Patterson's gonna fix that. There we go. You guys got a half day, we didn't. Okay, so we fixed our problem. So we have length over width. So our ratio for our small rectangle would be 3 over 2. Okay, now let's look at our large rectangle. We have our length being m, which is what we're trying to figure out, and 19 as our width. Okay, so let's go over to our other ratio, because remember, a proportion are two ratios set equal to each other. So we're going to have m as our length and 19 as our width. And our labels are the same, so we're good to go. Well, let's see if this one's as easy as the first two. Can we do scale factor? Well, can we go from 2 to 19? No, we can't. So we have to cross multiply and divide. So when we cross multiply, we're going to have 2 times m and 3 times 19. So let's write that down. 2 times m equals 3 times 19. Okay, and remember, parentheses means multiply. All right, so let's solve what we know. Well, we don't know what 2m is, so let's just rewrite that down at the bottom. But we do know what 19 times 3 is. And that is, let's do some math on the side. 19 times 3. Okay, so 3 times 9, that is 27. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So we have 57. Now, we have to get m by itself because that's what we're trying to solve. So in order to do that, we have to bring that 2 over and divide. So we'll get m equals 57 divided by 2. And for all you smart cookies out there, you know that this is not going to go on evenly. We're going to have a decimal answer. So I'm going to let you pause the video right now and work this out on your paper. If you need to flip to the back, there's a whole back side of your paper that you can work this out on. Okay, so we should have gotten m equals 28.5, but let's see how we got that answer, because division is something we're always going to have to do. So we have 57 on the inside of our house and 2 on the outside of our house. Okay, and we are right here on our screen. I know there's a lot of writing. Okay, so we have to look. Does 2 go into 5? Yes, it does. It goes into it twice. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4. So we write that underneath the 5, and then we have to subtract. So 5 minus 4 is 1. Well, 2 doesn't go into 1, so we have to bring down that 7. Okay, so 2 goes into 17 8 times, and 8 times 2 is 16. We subtract that, we get 1. Well, 2 doesn't go into 1, so what do? We have no more numbers to bring down. We have to add that decimal place so we can add our zeros. Because remember, we have to bring down zeros. Okay, so we put our decimal point there so we'd have more zeros. So first you got to bring your decimal point up, and then bring that 0 down. Okay, so that gives me 2 goes into 10. Well, it does. It goes in 5 times. So we're going to write our 5 after our decimal place, and 5 times 2 is 10. We subtract and we get 0, so that means we are done. So our answer is 28.5. All right, I hope this video was helpful. Go ahead and finish up your stations, and this is finish the rest of the sheet as a DIY grade.